Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited for today's event. But before we get started, I have a question for you. Do you like fantasy stories, heroes, traveling back in time, and even magic? I know you are out there saying yes. And friends, this is perfect because we are getting ready for a magical adventure. Now, I have a few things I want to share. Please know that you can use the chat to let us know where you're tuning in from. You can also send in your questions or comments, and our friends from Random House Children's Book, their team members, they're going to be responding to your questions and comments. And teachers, parents, friends everywhere, have your cameras ready because in just a little while, we're gonna have a chance to take a selfie with our special guest. All right, friends, let the countdown begin.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, hello and welcome. I am your host, Ann Cosma, coming to you from Southern California in the United States. Let's take a look and see who's joining us today. Looks like we have folks from New York, Canada, Nigeria, India, Wales, Ireland, California, Illinois, Minnesota, Mexico, Georgia. Wow, so many folks. We are so glad you are here. Welcome, everyone. With us today, we have the New York Times best-selling author of the hugely popular Magic Treehouse series, Mary Pope Osborne. Magic Treehouse books have been translated into more than 30 languages and have sold over 100 million copies around the world. And they are beloved by millions of folks, kids and learners of all ages around the world. So friends, without further ado, let's welcome Mary Pope Osborne. Hi, Mary, how are you?
Hi, Ann. I'm very happy to be here today, so I'm great.
Oh, it is so great having you here with us. We know 2022 is a very special year for you and the Magic Treehouse, a three-decade milestone, 30 years of magical adventures with Jack and Annie, 30 years of inspiration, 30 years of reading. Can you tell us how you feel about this special milestone?
Well, it's hard to believe, Ann, because I'm still writing the books and I'm having more fun than ever. And I think when I first started Magic Treehouse, I had no idea in this world I would write them for 3 decades. I actually thought I'd write them for about 2 years. And then teachers and kids started writing me and I started touring the country. And now 30 years later, I'm still doing it and still having a wonderful time.
Oh my gosh, incredible, Mary. That's so incredible. Now, we actually have a surprise for you as we get started. We asked students and fans all around the world to send us some videos and share what they love most about Magic Treehouse. And we chose a few of those to share with you today. Would you like to hear what they said?
I would love to.
All right, here we go.
What I love most about the Magic Treehouse series is all the adventures that Jack and Annie go through. It is funny, adventurous, and interesting.
Hi, Mrs. Mary. I love your books and all the adventures. Can't stop reading because they're very inspiring and I love the places that they go to.
Jack always is like, oh man, or oh brother, and then they go back in time.
I like these books because I like where they go and I like mysteries.
Always go on adventures to the desert and to the magical forest.
There is a lot of fantasy in it, and I like where they go.
The cool thing is you can travel through all the different times of the world.
I've read every single one of these books, and I like them because they're full of good knowledge.
And these are the books that I really like. Shadows of the Shark and Mummies Up in the Morning.
My favorite book, I think, would be the one about volcanoes.
Every book is a new story about a new place. My favorite character is Megan.
It's magical how the characters can travel back in time. I can't wait till you write more adventures for everyone.
Hi, I'm Amy Rosenstein, a third grade teacher in Ardsley, New York, and my kids absolutely love the Magic Treehouse series year after year. They're just terrific books that I can't say enough good things about.
What a beautiful celebration, Mary.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Anne. That was just wonderful. I appreciate that.
I hope that was a fun surprise. It got me choked up too, and I can only imagine just all the remarkable moments and incredible folks and all of these adventures across time and place and so many historical moments. Wow.
Yeah, and the the main reason I keep loving this job is that I have kids like those kids all over who share with me, and they've grown up now, a lot of them. But then there's another group of them and another and another. And I think kids that age are just about the sweetest things in the world. And I'm so lucky to be able to write for them.
Oh, I hope that was such a fun surprise. And thank you to everybody for sending in your videos. Now, we're going to switch gears for just a moment to learn a little bit more about you, Mary. Can you please tell us your story and maybe start with how did you decide to become an author?
Well, I didn't really know I wanted to be an author till I was in my 20s. I was living with my husband, who was an actor in New York, and I wanted to be able to go on the road with him when he was doing a show. So I started writing. I had a little electric typewriter. And when I was doing this, I began crafting stories. And when we were in New York City, we had a very tiny apartment. I'd go up to the roof and take a folding chair and write my stories up there. And finally, I had this remarkable thing happen where I shared one of my stories with a friend who was published, and she showed it to her agent, who showed it to her publisher and a publisher. And the next thing I knew, I was suddenly writing, in those days, it was a young adult novel. And I wrote about 20 books before I got to Magic Treehouse. But those years of writing really helped me hone my craft and figure out what it took to be a writer. So I was so lucky to get attention early and to jump into the saddle, so to speak, and write books.
Well, we are so glad you did. And there's this new book all about memories and life lessons from the Magic Treehouse books. Can you tell us a little bit about how and why you decided to publish a book about all these life lessons and incredible memories?
Well, at first I wanted to do a book just on life lessons that Jack and Annie learned in the stories. And believe me, I don't really know what those lessons will be from book to book. I find out that Jack and Annie kind of tell me as characters what they've learned, but I thought there was a whole lot of information there. But when I started writing down and going through the books and figuring out what lessons were in the different books, I remembered my childhood, and I saw seeds in my own childhood that had given birth years later to these stories. So I then started writing down my memories, and I added that to passages from different Magic Treehouse books. So it's a combination of a memoir of my own childhood and Jack and Annie's experiences.
Oh my gosh. And as you read through those life lessons, they truly are special because you can tell you're sharing right from your heart. Now, I have to ask about those life lessons, Mary. Do you happen to have maybe top three and why they're your top three life lessons?
Yeah, I mean, I think I change that top three pretty often, but right now I would say that I love the chapter that's on the magic of books. And Jack and Annie first, when they're in the treehouse and they find all the books that are in the treehouse and they open them and make a wish. As you know, readers, you go to the time and the place in the book. But here they're actually looking out the window of the book of Knights and Castles, and they see a knight, and suddenly they're living the story. So that to me was magic. And then in my version of that for my own memory, I'll quickly share some of it. I remember one of the first times that the magic of reading happened to me. In first grade, I was looking at a story about a pig riding a bicycle on a sunny day. I was figuring out the words. I imagined riding my own blue bike. I pictured riding along a dirt path near our house. And suddenly, I was the pig riding a bike on a sunny day. I felt the air and the sunlight and the excitement the pig felt as he set out on his adventure. Since then, I went on to be a big rabbit in Uncle Wiggily, a pioneer girl in Little House on the Prairie, a Japanese boy in The Big Wave. Since the day I became a pig on a bicycle, I've been thousands of creatures and people thanks to books. Read a book, and you can be anything you like to be. Another one of my favorite lessons involved Jack and Annie's adventure in, let me pull up this page right here for myself. So they're in the Japan 400 years ago, and they meet a wonderful poet named Basho. And there you see Basho and Jack and Annie looking out at the beauty of a lake and nature. And he tells Jack and Annie to pay attention to the small things in nature. I had a memory. One afternoon, I saw two insects attached to our screen door. One was a walking stick insect, which looked exactly like a small twig. Coincidentally, next to the walking stick was a dead leaf moth, which looked exactly like a dead leaf. I stood at the screen door for a long time, amazed. I've never forgotten them. What if I had just walked by, thinking only of myself? Miracles can so easily go unnoticed. So I want my readers to look outside yourself to find unexpected treasure all around you. Another life lesson was when they went to the rainforest a long time ago. And as they're leaving the rainforest, they talk about the creatures they encountered in the forest. Actually, nothing was being mean, said Jack. The army ants were just marching. That's what army ants do. The piranhas were just being piranhas, said Annie. The snake was just being a snake, said Jack. The crocodile was just being a crocodile, said Annie. That's from Afternoon on the Amazon. Well, what do humans do to find out who they are? It's not as simple sometimes as it is for animals and small creatures. And here's an example of how I found out who I was. I tried to do many things when I was growing up. To name just a few, and this is all true, I tried singing, swimming, tap dancing, ballet, archery, baton twirling, painting, cooking, sewing, playing baseball, water skiing, horseback riding, tennis, ice skating, running fast, and jumping high. I wasn't good at any of these things, but I learned who I was. I was a person who tried things. And that's what I hope my readers will do too. Don't worry how good you are at something. Just go out and try it. And over time, you'll stumble on the things you most love to do and that you have some talent to do. And that's how you find out who you are. Be open to all kinds of possibilities. So those are some of the life lessons in the Magic Tree House, memories and life lessons.
Oh my gosh, incredible, incredible lessons. And you share so generously of your experiences and your insights. So thank you for sharing those with us. Now, I want to ask another question. If you might give us some insight into your creative process and what that might be like.
Well, I start by trying to come up with a fresh idea. And in order to figure out if the idea will work, I get lots of information. I might order books, I might go to the library, I will definitely look at the internet. But most importantly, maybe I talk to kids, I talk to teachers, I talk to my publisher, my editor, and I say, do you think this is an interesting idea for the next book? Sometimes I have to, throw out an idea and start over once I start working on it. But I write an outline, I do tons of research, and then I do different drafts. And I really want you to know that the ideas just don't flow onto the page. I have to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. But that's the fun of it, is making it better. So that's pretty much my process for each of the Magic Treehouse books.
Well, I'm sure folks love hearing that, and the fact that you're not giving up and you keep going and try and all of those iterations. Thank you for letting us know. Okay, Mary, we have a lot of folks writing in with questions, and we're going to get to some of them now. We're going to start with Mrs. Miller's fourth grade class. Hello, you're out there in Iowa. And this question says, how long did it take you to get your first Magic Tree House book published?
Oh, what a good question. Well, because I had already written a number of books, I actually got a call from Random House, my publisher, that asked me, the editor there asked if I wanted to consider writing a series. And I wasn't sure I did want to write a series, because I used to like to write every kind of book. I wrote mythology, folklore, fairy tales, biographies, mysteries, novels, picture books, you name it. And I didn't know if I wanted to do the same thing over and over. But then I figured out a very good way to be happy. I would do a different setting for every book, because I would go back in time, and I love history. So I tried at first a magic cellar. No, that didn't work. I tried a book about magic whistles. No, magic artist museum, a magic studio where a painter worked. I tried at least 7 different ideas, and I don't mean just tried them. I wrote whole drafts of those books. I put them all away. I was going to give up. But one day I was walking in the woods and I saw a tree house with my husband, Will. We had a little cabin in Pennsylvania, and there was this old tree house all falling down in the top of a tree. And I don't know, the magic hit me, and I thought, this is it. It's a tree house, and it's filled with books. But that took a whole year to figure out. And once I shared that story with Random House, a wonderful editor helped me make it better and better and better and better. So I would think the whole process was a year.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps, inspired by a real magic treehouse. That's so cool. And it's just always awesome to hear the truth about how the process goes, and folks are curious. So to hear from you is another magical thing. Okay, Mary, we have a question from Mr. Murphy's class in Ireland. They are wondering, how long does it take you to write a book?
Well, a Magic Treehouse book has to be written on a tight schedule, because many people have to work on it. The art director, the editor, the illustrator, the publishing firm, the marketing, the sales. I mean, I'm the first in a long line of cars of a train, and I'm the engine, but then suddenly there are all these other cars, and we all are on a tight schedule. So I would say in that schedule, I'm given about 6 months to write Magic Treehouse book these days. So that's really wonderful, and it's just the right amount of time.
Oh, that's great to hear. Okay, we are going to continue with a student video question. We asked students to submit their videos via Flip, and we chose a few to share with you today. Let's hear the first one.
Hi, Mrs. Mary. My name is Kessiana from Nigeria. If you were a character from the series, who would you be? Thank you.
Oh, I love this question. Kessia from Nigeria is wondering, if you were a character from the series, who would you be?
Well, I would be Jack and Annie together. I'm not as smart as Jack. I'm not as brave as Annie, but when I'm them, I feel smarter and I feel braver. So I think a combination of them would be my ideal character to be.
Oh, I love that. I can imagine both of them are right inside your heart always, too. So, we're seeing a ton of amazing questions come in, and folks, we'll get back to those in just a moment. But before we do, let's take a selfie with Mary. Everybody, get your cameras ready and gather in front of your screens in your classrooms, wherever it is you are at home. We're going to give you a few moments to get set up. All right, everybody, let's take some selfies. Mary, would you please give us a countdown?
Yeah. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, friends, we love seeing those selfies. So please, please, please be sure to share them on social. Tag us on Twitter at Microsoft Flip. Our friends at Random House Children's Book, you can tag them at RHCB Educators. And of course, please tag our special guest at Mary Pope Osborne. All right, let's get back to some of your questions. Mary, we have another video question for you.
My name is Gavin. I'm from New Jersey. I'm wondering, how do you know if your book's ready to be published or shared with the world?
Great question.
It's a great question.
Mary, Gavin is wondering, how do you know that your book is ready to be shared with the world?
Gavin, that's a great question because sometimes it's hard for the author to know, but you have helpers. You have an editor and a copy editor, and they look carefully at your manuscript at the end. And they might want a few changes. Maybe your grammar's not perfect, but you could change things. And once you have handed it in for good, you know your book is ready for publication because there have been many eyes on it right at the end of the process, like your teacher or your parents might look at your writing at the end.
Oh my gosh, great answer. Thank you. Okay, we have another question from the chat, and there are so many of these incredible books. We have a class in Mexico curious asking about, do you have a favorite Magic Treehouse book and why?
Well, I'm not just saying this because it just came out, but this has to be my favorite because it includes lots of passages from many Treehouse books, and it includes my life. And at the end of the book, and you might get a kick out of this, are pictures of me and my family and when we were kids. And you have my brothers, my wonderful brothers who were my best playmates, and my sister Natalie, who worked on the Magic Treehouse nonfiction books. So it's close to my heart and it will always be that way.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And those pictures at the end are so special, Mary. It was such a fun surprise at the end of the book to see those. Okay, we have a question from Mrs. Martinez, 5th grade class in California. They want to know, what would you say to your characters if you could meet them?
Oh, what a good question. I would say thank you, Jack and Annie. Thank you for hanging in there with me and never getting too old to discover the magic of being alive. Thank you for your adventurous spirits and your good hearts. And thank you for being braver and smarter than me. And the truth is, Jack and Annie are like so many kids that I've met. And so I'm thanking all the kids at the same time.
Oh my gosh, that's a message from the heart, and I can I can only imagine what that conversation, if you could have them come to life, would be like. Wow. Okay, Mary, Hudson is out there watching in Kansas and sent in a video question for you. Let's hear this question.
Hi, my name is Hudson from Kansas, USA. And my question is, how much research do you have to do before writing a book? Thank you.
Oh, wonderful question,
Yeah.
Hudson. Mary, Hudson is curious how much research you have to do before writing your books.
Well, Hudson, I do a lot of research. I love research, and I find that that's where the magic starts to take shape because I find out real facts, real information, real history, real people, and I discover all these wondrous things about the world. And then I start to get excited and start to outline my stories.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, we have one more video question we want to get to, and this one is coming from Wales. Let's hear it.
Hi, Mrs. Mary. My name is Alice and I am from Wales. I have a lot of ideas. How do I structure them so I can create my own story? Do you have any tips? Thank you.
Oh, I love this question, Alice. Mary, Alice has a lot of ideas, and she's wondering if you have any tips to share how she can structure them to write her own stories.
Well, first of all, I trust Alice will write down all her ideas and she'll see if there's a story, let's say a story arc in the ideas. How would the story begin? What would happen in the middle? What big dramas might happen that her characters have to overcome? And how would it end? And once she begins to structure, she'll throw out some of her ideas and she'll add others. So the secret is to start writing the ideas down and find out what happens. And while you're doing that, have a lot of fun because it is fun. It's like play.
Those are great insights, and I love the inclusion of fun because that is definitely part of the process. Mary, thank you so much for sharing so generously from your experiences, your insight, and your heart today. Is there anything else you would like to leave the audience with before it's time to go?
Well, I think my main message of this book and all my books is to enjoy exploring the world and learning new things and to be brave, even if you're afraid, try to overcome some of that so you can go out and find out what a wonderful world it is.
Oh, thank you for that. We just want to say we are so appreciative of your time and being here with us today, also sharing these incredible memories and life lessons and inspiring folks everywhere to read, to write, and remind us all that we have the power to imagine and create. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Anne. It's been a joy.
That was amazing. 30 years of Magic Treehouse. What a milestone. And now, students, teachers, folks, I want to invite all of you to continue the conversation. You can go to flip.com/magic treehouse where you can ask your questions to Mary and reflect on everything you learned today. And we have more amazing events coming up. Make sure you head to aka.ms/flip events to register today. And before wrapping up, I want to invite you all to explore some of the incredible live online classes by our friends at Take Lessons. Microsoft Take Lessons has classes on any topic. That's it for today, friends. I'm your host, Ann Cosma, and on behalf of Flip, Random House Children's Books, and our amazing guest, Mary Pope Osborne, thank you for spending your time with us today. We'll see you next time.